So, interview questions on transaction. Okay. Akshay, you asked me to explain about locks in the transaction. So we are not using all the locks in the transaction. If we use no lock and the shade lock, I mean, if we use no lock here, we cannot call it as a transaction. Okay.
Okay.
So if we use the shade lock and exclusive lock based on the locking strategies, and based on the transaction default locking, forced locking, and DB changes, based on that we can call it as transaction. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I'll give you the examples here, and we'll explain what are the whether it is the transaction or not. Okay. First one. For first example, find first customer. This is a shade lock strategy. Shade lock query. So repeat on end key and leave. Okay. Undo leave. If anything goes wrong, it should leave the block. We can call it as undo leave. Okay. Find next customer. Is this a is this query has a transaction? Hello. No, right? Yes or no, please let me know. Please check all that default locking, default transaction and forced transactions and DB changed statements. Whether it
transaction.
No.
sorry,
Okay.
whether it gonna be start with the this query has a transaction or not.
No. Okay.
Why? Reason, please.
It's a default transaction, Akka. End key.
Okay. Then so it will start the transaction, right?
Yes, Akka.
Sorry, it's not. It doesn't have a transaction block because whether it is having a default transaction keyword, but it is not updating the DB. So what is the meaning of transaction?
Set of
Updating the
changes to the data.
updating, not set of changes to the database. We can call it as
Database. Transaction.
transaction. So it is not a transaction. The above query
It's a default.
doesn't start transaction. Okay. Now we go with the second example. for each customer. So, is this block has a transaction? I mean, it will.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah.
It's a database.
Sorry.
It's a DB update command.
Yes. It has updating DB. So it will start. It starts transaction. Okay. Now with the third example, display customer. Is this query starts with the transaction?
Yes, Akka.
What is the reason?
It's a forced transaction, Akka.
Forced transaction account using exclusive lock.
To avoid
Yes. It will start transaction because of exclusive lock. Yeah, correct. So please remember all this stuff, okay? Okay, then these are the questions. And okay, I'll give one more exam. I'll ask one more example for this. Now tell me, is this start with a transaction?
yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
What is the reason?
You are using the transaction keyword, begin transaction.
Yeah, but it's a forced transaction. For is a for transaction is a forced transaction, right?
Yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
So due to this, it starts with the transaction. Okay. Then
Okay.
ask you the questions of phone. So I'll ask after after some time a few questions. We'll start the topic record scoping versus transaction scoping.
Trans-
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
No, Akka.
no, Akka.
Okay. You understood, right, the concept of transaction?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. Now record scope versus transaction scope. So record scope has strong scope, weak scope, free reference, and transaction scope has the default transactions, DB changes, and forced transactions we have. Okay, so we are comparing both record. I mean this one and that one, and what will get the result of outputs in the progress session. Okay, now we are comparing record scope is less than transaction scope. Okay. Less than transaction scope. What it may get? All the records will release the transaction. The scope of the, the scope of the record is less than the transaction scope. So with the release statement, we can release the transaction block. Okay. Understood?
Okay.
But here is it's a better strategy. Okay. If record scope is less than transaction scope, record buffers we have, right? So that record buffer won't won't release the locks. Okay. Till transaction scope releases the record, releases the locks. Okay. It uh, it will wait till transaction scope will release the record locks. Okay. So transaction scope, record scope is less. What we, 1 second, I'll tell you. Record scope and do end. Do transaction end. Okay. This one is record scope and this one is transaction scope. Until this one releases the lock, it won't release the record, lock. Okay. Understood? It may confuse you guys because it's a new topic. Understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Don't worry about this. Don't learn this one. I'll help you in interviews. Don't worry. Just remember what I'm trying to say. Okay. Don't get confused. Whatever the topic still now, you just remember. That's it. You don't worry about all this stuff. I'll take care. If both record scope and transaction scope both are equal, means no errors will get, okay, will get in the current progress session. Okay, so if both are equal, it won't get any errors. If we coming to the record scope is greater than transaction scope, record bleeding will happen. Record bleeding. They'll ask you the interview. They'll ask you how will we get the record bleeding. So record bleeding. Okay. Why means the transaction scope is inside the record scope. Okay. Due to that, record get bleed. Record get bleed. So to avoid record bleeding, use release statement in transaction scope. Just keep this release statement after this end. Okay, understood?
Yes, Akka.
Okay, that's it from my end. Please let me know if you have any question.
అక్క రేపు అక్కడికి వచ్చినప్పుడు చూపిస్తారా అక్క ఏ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్?
ఓకే, చూపిస్తాను. బట్ డిస్ప్లే అయితే డిస్ప్లే స్టేట్మెంట్ యూస్ చేస్తేనే డిస్ప్లే అవుతాయి, లేదంటే డిస్ప్లే అవ్వవు. ఓకే, నేను చూపిస్తాను. ఐ షో. ఓకే,
ఓకే అక్క.
then 1 second, I'm getting messages from my person. Okay, please ask me the questions if you have anything. Okay, please ask me the questions if you have anything. Then otherwise I'll go with the interview questions.
ఓకే అక్క.
Okay. Well, I'll go with the. What is the difference between find for first and find first?
In find first, we can use no wait, no error, and in for first we can't use.
Okay.
And using for first using field option for specify the field name for modification.
Okay.
And using multiple index. And
Okay.
in find first it not support multiple index.
Okay. But for is a progress block, find is a progress statement. Okay. You just remember
Yes,
this
sir.
one as well.
Okay.
Then what is the difference between find and find first? Yesterday I explained that one. You guys didn't remember. Actually, find will give the ambiguous errors. To avoid ambiguous errors, find first we are using. Okay.
Second.
What is difference between find and can find? Simple question, simple answer will be there for that. Actually, find is a statement. Okay. Can find is a function. Understood?
Yes, second.
Then you have to give that kind of answers to the interviewer. Okay, fine. Difference between prompt for and set?
Prompt for is used to get input from each variable account. Set is used to enter the variables.
Okay. But prompt for we can read the data from database and variable, but in the set by using set we just read the data from variable. How many locks are there in progress?
There are 3 types of locks, no lock, share lock, and exclusive lock.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. Okay. Then coming to why we need shared lock?
It's a default lock account.
Okay. What is the use of exclusive lock?
It
By
can read and
exclusive
update
lock, we can
data.
read and update the data.
Okay.
Both.
It's a pretty good strategy. Method.
Okay. If two progress session using exclusive lock, the one progress session is has the customer table and second progress session has the customer table. So both the progress session will work or not?
No, until
No,
the exclusive
session
locks
complete.
release.
Okay. So what is suggestion to avoid that?
Using
Using?
no wait.
Yeah, correct. In one session we can use no wait, then another session we don't need, I mean we won't keep no wait, then both the session is working. Okay. correct. So what is transaction?
A set of changes to the data to the database.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, guys. Prepare well, and we'll go only temp tables. Temp tables also it works like buffers. Okay, temp table if we need to if we need current session required multiple one field in one table and another field in another table, 10 table fields required in a progress session. So to avoid that, we just applying. We just using temp tables. So I just give brief explanation about temp tables, and we'll go with the streams. We'll complete that both topics, and we'll start giving the interviews. Okay.
Okay, Akka.
Okay, Akka.
Then okay, guys. We have done with the session. So prepare well. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Akka.
Okay. Then we can close the session if you don't have any questions. No questions?
No, Akka.
Then we can close the session. Bye bye.
Bye, Akka.
Bye, Akka.
Bye.